Hello, Robs. We're back with Tamar, and I thought I'd show you the original copy that had a letter inserted. I have two copies of the book. It was only 500 copies were issued, and I have two of them. I stopped at two because I thought it was just insane to keep buying $300 books just to have them all. And that was back when I had zero money at all. But here's the letter. It was just a letter from a guy named O'Donnell. And he was telling Jeffers that he liked his verses, and Jeffers responded that it was as much credit to him that he liked him as it was for him, the writer. As you can see, this font is just as small as this, but obviously this book is far more valuable, so I don't really want to handle it. It's a pretty cool book, though. You can see where the letter came out of it. And I lost part of the... Foolishly pulled it out, but I didn't want it sitting in there and getting worse wrecked. Anyway, back to the poem. The heavy poem. 5. O swiftness of the swallow and strength of the stone shore, brave beauty of falcons, beauty of the blue heron that flies opposite the color of evening from the Carmel River's reed-grown mouth to her nest in the deep wood of the deer cliffs of peninsular granite engirdle. O beauty of the fountains of the sun, I pray you enter a little chamber. I have given you bodies. I have made you puppets. I have made idols for God to enter, and tiny cells to hold your honey. I have given you a dotard and an idiot, an old woman puffed with vanity, youth but botched with incest. O blower of music through the crooked bugles, you that make signs of sins and choose the lame for angels, enter and possess. Being light you have chosen the dark lamps, a hawk the sluggish bodies. Therefore, God, you chose me, and therefore I have made you idols like these idols to enter and possess. Tamar, finding no hope, slid back on passion. She had sought counsel of the dead and found half-scornful pity, and found her sin foredated. There was honey at least in shame, and secrecy and silence, and her lover could meet her afield or slip to her room at night in serviceable safety. They learned, these two, not to look back nor forward, and but for the hint of vague and possible wreck every transgression paints on the storm edge of the sky. Their blue, though it dulled a shade with custom, shone serene to the fifth moon, when the moon's mark on women died out of Tamar. She kept secret the warning. How could she color such love with perplexed fear? Her soul walked back and forth like a new prisoner, feeling the plant of unescapable fate root in her body. There was death who had entered water to compass love, might enter again to escape love's fruit. But oh, she thought, not to die now. It is less than half a year since life turned sweet. If I knew one of the girls my lover has known, she'd tell me what to do, how to be fruitless, how to be happy. They do it. All sin grew nothing to us that day in Malpaso water, a love sterile and sacred as the stars. I will tell my lover, he will make me safe. He will find means sterile and sacred, and more than any woman, unhappy. Miserable, she sobbed, miserable, the rough and bitter water about the cliff's foot, better to breathe. When Lee was not by her side, she walked the cliffs to tempt them. The calm and large Pacific surge, heavy with summer rolling southeast from a far origin, battered to foam among the stumps of granite below. Tamar watched it swing up the little fjords and fountain, not angrily in the blowholes. A gray vapor breathed up among the buttressed writhings of the cypress trunks and branches swollen with blood-red lichen. She went home, and her night was full of foolish dreams, 2 layers of dream. unrelative in emotion or substance to the pain of her thoughts. One, the undercurrent layer that seemed all night continuous, concerned the dead, and rather a vision than a dream, for visions gathered on that house like corposant fire on the hoar mastheads of a ship wandering strange waters. Brown skinned families came down the river and straggled through the wood to the sea. They kindled fires by knobs of granite and ate the seafood that the plow still turns up rotting shells of, not only around Point Lobos, but north and south, wherever the earth breaks off to sea rock. Tamar saw the huddled bodies squat by the fires and sleep, but when the dawn came, there was throbbing music meant for daylight, and that weak people went where it led them and were nothing. Then Spaniards, priests, and horseback soldiers came down the river and wandered through the wood to the sea, and hearing the universal music, went where it led them and were nothing. And the English speakers came down the river and wandered through the wood to the sea. Among them, Tamar saw her mother walking beside a nameless woman with no face nor breasts. And the universal music led them away, and they were nothing. But Tamar led her father from that flood and saved him. For someone named the church built on a rock, it was beautiful and white, not fallen to ruin like the ruin by Carmel River. She led him to it and made him enter the door. When he had entered, a new race came from the door and wandered down the river to the sea and to Point Lobos. This was the undertow of the dream, obscured by a brighter surface layer, but seeming senseless. The tides of the sea were quiet, and someone said, "Because the moon is lost." Tamar looked up, and the moon dwindled, rocketing off through lonely space, and the people in the moon would perish of cold or of a star's fire. Then Will Andrews, curiously wounded in the face, came saying, "Tamar, don't cry. What do you care? I will take care of you." Wakening, Tamar thought about him and how he had stopped coming to see her. Perhaps it was another man came through her dream. The wound in the face disguised him, but that morning Lee, having ridden to Mill Creek to bargain about some fields of winter pasture, now that the advancing year withered the hill grass, Tamar went down and saddled her own pony, a 4-year-old as white as foam, and cantered past San Jose Creek mouth and the Caro's farm, where David Caro and his fanatical blue eyes that afterward saw Christ on the hill smiled at her passing. And 3 miles up the Carmel Valley came to the Andrews place, where the orchards ran to the river, and all the air was rich with ripening apples. She would not go to the house. She did not find whom she was seeking. At length, sadly, she turned homeward, for Lee might be home within 2 hours. And on the Carmel Bridge above the water, shrunken with summer and shot with water lichen, the surface scaled with minute scarlet leaves, the borders green with slimy threads, met whom she sought. "Tamar," he said, "I've been to see you. You hadn't for a long time. I had some trouble with Lee. I thought you didn't want me." While they talked, her eyes tasted his face. Was it endurable? Though it lacked the curious gash her dream had given him. "I didn't want you, you thought. Lee said so. You might have waited till Tamar said so." "Well," he answered, "I've been, and neither of you was home, but now I've met you. Well, looking enough, freckles, light hair, light eyes, not tall, but with the chest and hard, wide shoulders, and sitting the horse well. Oh, I can do it, help me, God," murmured Tamar in her mind. "How else? What else can I do?" And said, "Luck, isn't it? What did you want to see me about?" "I wanted because I like you, Tamar. Why should I be careful?" she thought. "If I frighten him off, what does it matter? I have got a little beyond caring." "Let's go down into the willow," she said. "We needn't be seen talking and someone tell him and make trouble here on the bridge." They went to the hidden bank under the deep green willow. Colored water stagnated on its moss up to the stems. Coarse herbage hid the stirrups. Tamar slid from the saddle as quietly as the long, unwhitening wave molds a sunk rock. And while he tethered the horses, "I have been lonely," she said. "Not for me, Tamar. You think not? Will, now that's all over, and likely we'll not see each other again often, nor by ourselves. Why shouldn't I tell you?" "What, Tamar?" "They've been There have been moments, hours then, when anything you might have asked me for would have been given. I'd have done anything you asked me to. You never asked anything, Will. I'm telling you this so that you may remember me as one who had courage to speak truth. You'll meet so many others. But now, he meant to ask, now it's too late, Tamar? And hadn't courage, and Tamar thought, must I go farther and say more? Let him despise me as I despise myself. I've got a little beyond caring now, she said. Do you think I am changed? You have changed, Will. You have grown older and stronger, I think. Your face is firmer and carefuler. I have not changed. I am still reckless to my own injury, and as trustful as a child. Would I be with you here in the green thicket if I weren't trustful? If you should harm me, Will, I'd think it was no harm. She had laid her hand on the round sunburnt throat and felt it throbbing, and while she spoke, the thought ran through her mind, he is only a little boy. But if he turns pale, I have won, perhaps, for white's the wanting color. If he reddens, I've lost, and it's no matter. He did not move and seemed not to change color, and Tamar said, now I must go. Lee will be home soon. How soft the ground is in the willow's shadow. I have ended with you, honestly, Will. Remember me, not afraid to speak truth and not ashamed to have stripped my soul naked. You have seen all of me. Goodbye. But when she turned, he caught her by the arm. She sickened inward, thinking, now it has come. I have called and called it, and I can't endure it. Ah, a dumb beast. But he had found words now and said, how would you feel, Tamar, if all of a sudden the bird or star you'd broken your heart to have flew into your hands, then flew away? Oh, Tamar, Tamar, you can't go now, you can't. She, unresisting, took the hot kisses on her neck and hair and hung loose in his arms, the while he carried her to a clean bank of grass in the deep shadow. He laid her there, kneeling by her. You said you trusted me. You are wise, Tamar. I love you so much, too well. I would cut my hands off not to harm you. But she, driven by the inward spark of life and dreading its premature maturity, could not rest on harmless love. There were no hands to help in the innocence of love, and like a vision came to her the memory of that other lover and how he had fallen a farther depth from firmer innocence at Malpaso. But the stagnant autumn water of Carmel stood too far from the April freshet in the hills. Tamar pushed off his kisses and stood up weeping and cried, it's no use. Why will you love me till I cry? Lee hates you, and my father is old and old. We can't sour the 3 years he has before he dies. I'll wait for you, said the boy. Wait years, Tamar. Then Tamar, hiding her face against his throat so that he felt the tears, whispered, but I, she sobbed, have no patience. I can't wait. Will, when I made my soul naked for you, there was one spot, a fault, a shame I was ashamed to uncover. She pressed her mouth between the muscles of her breast. I want you and want you. You didn't know that a clean girl could want a man. Now you will take me and use me and throw me away, and I've earned it. Tomorrow I swear by God never to let you be sorry, but protect you with all my life. This is our marriage, Tamar answered, but God would have been good to me to have killed me before I told you. The boy, feeling her body vibrant and soft and sweet in its weeping surrender, went blind and could not feel how she hated him that moment. When he awakened, she was lying with the auburn hair muddled and the white face turned up to the willow leaves. Her teeth were bared and sunk in the underlip, a smear of blood reddening the corner of the lips. One of her arms crushed both her breasts, the other lay in the grass, the fingers clutching toward the roots of the soft grass. Oh, Tamar, murmured the boy, I love you. I love you. What shall I do? Go away? Kill myself, Tamar? She contracted all her body and crouched in the long grass, thinking, that Helen of my old father's never fooled him at least, and said, there is nothing to do, nothing. It is horribly finished. Keep it secret. Keep it secret, Will. I, too, was to blame a little, but I didn't mean this. I know, he said. It was my fault. I would kill myself, Tamar, to undo it, but I loved you so, Tamar. Loved? You have hurt me and broken me. The house is broken, and any thief can enter it. Oh, Tamar, you have broken our crystal innocence. We can never look at each other freely again. What can I do, Tamar? Nothing. I don't know. Nothing. Never come to the farm to see me. Where can I see you, Tamar? Lee is always watching me, and I believe he'd kill us. Listen, Will, tomorrow night I'll put a lamp in my window when all the house is quiet, and if you see it, you can climb up by the cypress. I must go home. Lee will be home. Will, though you've done to me worse than I ever dreamed, I love you. You have my soul. I am your tame bird now. Okay. That's all for that. Goodbye, bros. Goodbye.